that just happened. How do I make it funny? It either just like, oh wait, that's funny if I say it that way. And then I just try it on stage and I work it out organically. I'll hit beats, like I'll sit down and go, okay, this is a beat, this is an idea, and then I will, but basically I talk it out on stage.
Greetings, everyone. Come on in and have a seat up front for the Funny Muscle Podcast. If you're here, then you're looking to learn how to create laughs like a pro. So please help me welcome to the stage your co-host to help you do that, economics professor and open micer Chris Stifler and comedian turned author Mike Lucas.
My daughter was a bad sleeper when she was a baby. We'd try and set her down to go to bed or take a nap, and she would just fuss. So my wife, she looked up infant massage, and it worked great. We'd rub her little tootsies, rub her shoulders, and she'd just drop. Problem is, we created a monster. She is 11 years old. She still wants back rubs before bed, and I am more than happy to give them to her because I am a man, and I was once a teenage boy, and I know all the teenage boys' tricks, especially, hey, would you like a back rub? Yeah. So some kid's gonna try that on my daughter. He's gonna get up in there, start rubbing her, and she's gonna say, oh, that's just how my dad does it. And that right there is a boner killer. Unless they're in Arkansas, but otherwise.
We're very excited today to have a guest that I met maybe about a month ago for the first time, somewhat accidentally, but on purpose. We'll tell that story when we talk. I'm going to read what I love. What comics do is they write in third person on their website. So I love reading what people write about themselves. And this guy is very funny. He says, "Not as serious as Plato, but lighter than Socrates. Livelier than Nixon, but not as edgy as Clinton. Not as heavy as Guar, but deeper than Culture Club." See, those are my references right there. You're a stand-up comedy veteran, masterful storyteller, a headliner with years of experience, a guy from Madison, Wisconsin, I believe, one part of Wisconsin. He'll correct me on that, I'm sure. But we're very happy to have him. Please welcome Nathan Timmel.
Does that intro, I haven't read it in a while, does that have the line? Because I have it in certain places. I might need to put it on my website. And he writes a third person sentence like nobody's business, because I keep that in my bio a lot.
It doesn't say that on this one, but
All right, I've got to add that because I always like that line. He writes a third person sentence like nobody's business.
On my website, I think I say something to the effect of I offer a third person writing webinar for anyone who's interested. And then I say I've attended or something like that. But good to see you, man. I haven't seen you or talked to you since I did your podcast, which was a blast. The day that I believe that OJ
day after.
Shot. No, it was the day that Donald Trump got shot.
Yeah, it was the day after.
Day after, yeah.
And I'm going to correct you, not on my birthplace, which is Madison, but I don't think that's what we met. I think we met many, many years ago when you were a Chicago comic, and I can't remember if you are now or if you were visiting in Michigan. Either way, just in passing, like a showcase night, not even a weekend together where we would have established a bond and cuddled in hotel rooms together and showered and scrubbed each other's nether regions.
Right, the way it's meant to be when you're working in a condo with each other. There's what we call the bennies, the fringe benefits. You've been quite busy, it looks like. We were both Chris and I watched your special, but I love it, man. A lot of storytelling in there, huh?
That's just, I learned early on as a comedian, like when I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do, that the comedians I enjoyed, when they were done, I felt like I knew something about them. And so that's just what I did because that's what I enjoyed. When comedians were like, I think Stephen Wright's hilarious. I think Stephen Wright is amazing. But when he's done, I don't really know anything about him. It's sort of like Chinese food. Well, now I'm hungry again. And I enjoyed people like Augie Smith and Doug Stanhope that when they were done, I'm like, oh, I have a sense of who that person is. And so
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's not
maybe it's my
joke jokes.
ego, but I'm like, hey, audience, you get to listen about me.
Yeah, but I love that because that makes your comedy relatable and memorable, and it makes me want to recommend you to someone else who I know might enjoy you because I get who you are. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I love it was funny. You start the special off with a request to be not like this one person, but like another. I don't want to spoil it for anyone who's going to watch it, which I highly recommend. We'll put
No,
up.
I can spoil it if you want. I don't mind.
But it was funny. Yeah, we will then we'll do that. But I love how you asked a request of the audience first, and so I'm in my mind you hadn't started the special yet. You were going to like sort of almost peek on stage, ask this request, then leave, and then we were going to introduce you, and then the special is going to start. But all of a sudden, we were in the special. It was beautiful. It was a cool move. Did you do that on purpose, or is that just how it ended up?
No, that was I had been working toward that. Those so I open with two true stories involving corporate work. One where I was fired in advance of a gig because one employee went to my YouTube channel. And there's a little part that I leave out because there's too much exposition. But the truth behind that story is I got the gig because I knew someone at the company. So
Uh,
when someone complained, they knew who the person was that complained, and they said, like, God, this person's just a pain in the ass. Nobody,
uh,
it's the and so I had a little inside information when I was speaking with the director of human resources who was
right,
firing me, saying, hey, we got a complaint about your YouTube channel. So next week, that gig we had you on for, we're going to go ahead and get a magician now or whatever. And then, yeah, then the other story was absolutely true. The only part that's not true is his name isn't Billy. I do not remember his name. So I just thought it sounded nice, be Billy. So for the stage, but
right.
it's a true story of a corporate event that went 100% right. And when I combined those two stories, I said, I thought, what a great way to open a show by telling the audience, this is what you might be getting into. You have a choice to make while
Yeah,
you're sitting here. Are you going to be in a good mood? Are you going to be in a bad mood? That's the
right.
gist of it. And then, unlike right now, it's very funny on stage.
Yeah, well, what's great about it is that you open those two loops. You talk about two names that we don't know, and so we call that premise intrigue, where you throw a lure in the water, and now we're curious about what the hell, who are these guys that you're talking about? Who should I be like, and who should I not be like, and why? And then you tell the story, and it closes that loop, and it really is satisfying. On top of being funny, like the great thing about your stories is often the mistake that's made by storytellers who are trying to do stand up is they don't offer us enough jokes, enough punchlines within the story format. And you offer us both, which is very commendable and very appreciative or
Oh,
appreciated.
I thank you for the kind words.
Yeah. Yeah, it
I
was
can't
good.
remember his name, but I listened to a very popular storyteller, comedian a couple of years ago, just driving, listening in the car. And I remember, please welcome to the stage this famous comedian audience. And then he talked for an hour, and the longer it went on, the more bored I got.
Right.
And I'm just like, there are no jokes here. And then when it was done, he said, thank you, good night. And the audience went, I'm like,
Like,
there was
how?
complete silence throughout the middle because there were no jokes. It wasn't like the audience was laughing and I wasn't. Everybody was listening politely. It's just that they enjoyed the storytelling, obviously, or they faked the laughter at the end, the cheering. Or but yeah, it was I
Yeah.
if I'm going to tell a story, it can't just be here's me yapping on about my life. They're at a comedy club. They want to laugh. They're here to joke. So I've got to bob and weave and like here's the point I want to make or here's the story I want to tell.
Yeah.
And here's something to make you giggle at the same time.
And by the end of the story, like you said, we get to know you a little bit better, and we get to know the characters in your story a little bit better, and by getting to know them, we get to know who you are because of how you're processing your relationship with those people. It's really cool. It's fun, and I assume that the rest of the special goes along like that, and we get to hear more slices of your life.
Yeah, it's basically I would say all storytelling. I went through a period of doing quick jokes, and I think that helped me slip quicker jokes into longer stories.
Right. It's great. Well, it's called Unapologetic and it's on YouTube. And is it on anywhere else that we can get, or is it mostly produced on YouTube? Which I love. I love the comics are doing that now. It's like avoid the middleman. We're like Prince. You know, Prince did that with the music industry. Fuck you, middlemen. We
I
can do it
did just
ourselves.
get the tattoo removed from my face. I had
Oh,
an
good. Yeah,
Egyptian.
it looks great. Yeah, it looks
It's I don't
fantastic.
know where it is. I put it out to distribution company. I put it on YouTube myself first,
Ah, okay.
and then I heard someone say, "Oh, get your product on Tubi or Amazon Video," and I Googled and it said just submit, and so I did, and now I've got a page that says I'm on several
Okay.
Roku channels, and I think it says it's on Amazon, but when I Google Amazon, I can't find it. It says now live on Amazon Video, and I Google me and the title Unapologetic, and it doesn't come up.
Huh.
But I thought it was funny that
Keep doing that because sometimes it takes a while for that to kick in. I'm not
right.
sure when you hook that up, but Amazon is
I
tricky like that.
I just think it's funny if they're gonna like Amazon. I suppose if you're a Prime member, it's free, but I would feel awkward like, hey, you can watch it on Amazon for 5.99. Don't watch it on YouTube where I put it for free. Pay to watch it. Like just go
Right.
watch it on YouTube for free.
That's funny.
Does that make you an influencer, right, Nathan?
Oh God, no. No. People try and label my wife even calls me that sometimes. They're like, well, you've got 100,000 followers on TikTok. You're an influencer. I'm like, they don't listen to me. They barely, like they liked one video of mine, clicked follow, and then have ignored me ever since. I see my
Mm.
video stats. Having 100, you need 1 million followers to get 10,000 views sometimes.
Yeah.
So
You
Well,
referenced that in the special, right?
no, I do. I forgot about that. I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. I what was it? I earned $138 for
And
video views. What?
USA.
Yeah.
USA, USA, nice. Well, yeah, being an influencer is the new it's the new shoe shiner. You know,
The,
getting earning your
Facebook.
bucks.
Last month, I had a video hit 1 million views on Facebook, and
Nice.
they sent me a payout of $18 this month. So
Yeah,
that's the translation. You get 1 million views, and that's just one video. So the other views in there also wrap into that $18. So
that's funny.
I see and hear about influencers saying, I make $68,000 a year off my TikTok page. I'm like,
They
how?
must,
How
yeah,
the f do
they
you do
must have
that?
just millions of views on millions of videos.
Yeah.
Well, you got a podcast called Idiots on Parade, which is where I re-met you after our
Yes.
brief encounter in Chicago. And it was funny. I was going to tell Chris the story of your partner wasn't aware of which Mike Lucas you had invited to the podcast. I know you knew who I was because you had talked about the books and we had shared some information beforehand. And so your buddy, it was really funny. I'm sorry, I forget his name.
Jake, for a second, when you said I forgot his name, I'm like, the other guy is Mike Lucas. But yeah, Jake Vedra.
Well, Chris, Jake was his podcast partner, very funny guy from New York. And Jake sees me and he goes, Mike Lucas, holy crap, you've lost weight.
Let me interrupt. Let me interrupt.
Yes,
Unless I'm mistaken, you two were in the waiting room without me
yes,
first.
yes.
So it was like you're having this
Ah,
conversation. Jake
That's
thinks, oh,
right.
this is Mike
God.
Lucas, my buddy from Iowa, and I'm nowhere to be seen. Then I pop up and you two are already talking. And then it's like 5, 10 minutes into the conversation, or maybe 4 or 5 minutes in, but he's like, wait a second. That's not the Mike Lucas from Iowa? And I'm like,
Yes.
no. He's like, oh shit, I've been talking to him this whole time. So that
Well,
makes
and
it
he
even
goes,
funnier to me.
dude, you've lost so much weight. He goes, so much so that you're unrecognizable. I'm like, yeah, there's a lot of reasons I'm unrecognizable. I'm not the guy. It was really funny. And then we ended up having a real fun time because that was the day after Trump had gotten shot at. And we had a lot of our own theories and jokes about it. And how long have you been doing that podcast? And tell we have, like I like to tell our guests that we have 12 listeners from 13 different states. So it's a wide variety of audience. So let them know where your podcast is available.
Well, it's available everywhere. We started putting it on YouTube, mostly Spotify. We used to go through one SoundCloud, but they charged money, and Spotify said we're free. So we
Yeah.
went, and I think it's distributed on Apple Music. I don't really pay attention.
You can get it where you get it.
Yeah, but we've been doing it whatever 590 episodes,
Wow.
one per week, never missed a week. So somewhere in there, whatever the math is, been doing it a couple of years.
And it's all current event stuff, right? You kind of take whatever's going to happen that week and sort of make jokes about it. Or was that just the week I was on?
No, that's it started off as us telling stories, and then we fell into the idea. It's been current news for a while now. I don't know what just made me think of this. Have you ever heard of Chicago's comedy scene radio network?
No.
It's an internet radio station run by a great guy, Tony, and he's a wonderful human being. He does things in batches, though. He asked me, he said, can I put your podcast on my radio network? I'm like, absolutely. But what I will do is I'll put things into a Dropbox folder for him, and they'll stack up like episodes, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and then he'll go get them all at once. And I'm like, you do realize that the one from 12 weeks ago, this is current events, and nobody's going to be listening to, like, it's like watching a rerun of the news. It doesn't work.
Right.
Nobody like,
Not the
hey,
same.
like, unless it's a big, let's watch Walter Cronkite announce what happened to Kennedy. Nobody's revisiting a story. So I find that amusing. Yes, it's current news every week, and we try and make fun of everything absurd in the news.
That's great. What's funny is I had so many jokes written for all those other news articles that we had, you had prepped me for. You said, hey, have some. So I had a bunch of those things on there, and then we never got to them because we just it must be what the real news stations feel like when a big emergency comes by.
Yes, I gather news stories through the week, and then I send out like 5 or 6 links and say, here's what we'll talk about. And then I sent it Saturday morning. Saturday night, Trump gets shot. And it's like, you can't ignore that. You can't go,
No,
everybody,
no,
Trump got shot, but we weren't prepared. So here's the stuff we're going to
right.
talk about. You can't do
No,
it.
no, you'll lose listeners that way. But it was fun, and yeah, I thought we did a good job in if I do say so ourselves.
Well, you jumped in with a great soliloquy up front. You talked about the plight of the man with the
Right,
thinning hair
the
and how
balding man.
you worried about Trump's
Well,
comb over
yeah,
because did it get
when,
damaged? It was a
right
wonderful tribute.
when he was brushed down from a Secret Service people, his hair got brushed over, and so his some of his secrets got exposed. Like the idea of what he does to hide his hair loss. So yeah, that was my main concern when I saw that he got shot. That was really what I was concerned about.
If only he could grow hair the way he grew that ear back,
It was
because
amazing, wasn't it? It was
I
like a
mean, the
bionic.
ear was gone. It was completely shot off, according to him and his reports, but now it's back and it's whole and there's nothing missing. So
Wild. It's wild how that works, and it's wild how in his world bullets don't do any damage at all. Well, I have a couple questions for you, Nathan. First of all, they're kind of stand-up related. Our audience, our target audience is just newer comedians who are trying to break into this business, and you're very successful as a joke writer and as a comedian. So, first of all, when did you start, and how did you sort of get into the business of comedy, of making strangers laugh?
when I started, I do not know. I people that have dates
Okay,
in
Yoda.
yeah,
When
in
I
their
started,
brain,
I
it
know.
it astounds me. For example, I'll tell you this flat out. This is not an exaggeration. This is not a lie.
Okay.
I was married on August 8th of either 2008, 9, or 10. I do not know which one.
Your
My
wife is
wife will
shouting it from
tell me
upstairs. It's
occasionally.
the night.
Yeah, my wife will tell me occasionally, and I'll say, okay, this year, this year, this year,
Right.
and then it just goes away.
Yeah.
So I don't know when I started comedy.
You
I
don't
do
remember
know
what
why
year
I.
even?
Go ahead.
Approximately
What?
what decade? Was it last century?
Yeah. It was like 98, 99, 2000, somewhere in
Gotcha.
there.
Gotcha. Okay. So
Yeah.
for a couple decades.
Yeah, I've been doing this a couple of years.
Right. And what got you into it? Like what made you first want to dip into this sick, twisted world?
Oh, this is a long story. How much time you got? How much do you want to hear?
We only have 6 hours and 52 minutes left.
All
So
right. I'm going to tell this quickly, quickly.
okay.
Um, Started when I was a child. 5 years old, I discover Saturday Night Live and The Gong Show and the unknown comic on The Gong Show. And
Right.
so I'm at Interlochen in Michigan and an arts camp, and they do a talent show. And so I put a bag on my head and pretended to be the unknown comic. I figured,
Nice.
why not?
Of course.
Then my grandmother, back then, before the days of do not buy this album parental advisory, she would take me album shopping, and I would pick out Kiss albums, big. We're talking vinyl
Right.
square albums.
Yeah.
And I see an album. And it's got a guy on the cover. He's got his finger like this. He's pretending to pick his nose, and I'm like, picking your nose is funny. I want that. So she buys me George Carlin's Class Clown.
Right. Of
I
course.
have no idea what it is, but I'm listening to it, and it's great. And then we get to the 7 dirty words you can't say on television, and I'm, whoa. Then at 10 years, so I love stand-up comedy. At 10
Wow.
years old, I convinced my mom to take me to see Richard Pryor live on the Sunset Strip, the
Whoa.
movie, not Richard
Right.
Pryor
Right.
live.
No, I get you. Yeah.
Yeah. And I love stand-up comedy. Then I become a teenager and I discover girls and well, I always knew what girls were, but I discovered that I really liked them. I always thought they were
Right.
fascinating, like girls. But I was a kid, I wanted to just sort of be near them. Then as a teenager, I wanted to actually like, touch them and pinch them and like you're real. And
Yeah.
so I got into music.
The girls love that. They love to be touched and pinched.
Yes, they do.
Just ask any of them that I know.
So I got into music, got into bands, and then when I got into college, got into a band that I mean, we recorded a demo and I started sending it places and we made the college music journal, which was, I don't know if it's still around. It was big back then, but all the college stations would, like a Billboard chart, show the bands they were playing. And we hit #1 in St. Louis and #5 at a
Wow.
place in New Mexico on all these little college radio stations. And I said, this is it. We need to focus. We need to go. And the singer and I got in a huge fight about songwriting and how to promote.
No, a band got in a fight.
We broke up. How does that
Whoa.
happen? Bands
That
never
never
break up.
happens. It's always so easy to get along with a new family.
Yes. And so there I was saying, I'm no Sting. I can't sing and play bass or write songs. I can arrange, I can work with some, I can, but I can't do this on my own and I don't want to fight with anyone again. Oh, wait, when I was a kid, I loved stand-up comedy
Hmm.
and boom, full circle, went back in, got on
Mm.
stage, did an open mic, and that's what I've been doing ever since.
Wow. And do you use your bass guitar on stage as a comedian at all, or regular guitar or anything like that? Or do you
I've
not
been
incorporate
told
music?
I should because I'd be the only bass guitar comedian, but I don't.
Oh my God, that'd be I guess Seinfeld kind of did it first already with his show with that dome, doo 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 doom. But
But
you
he wasn't playing it.
no, he wasn't playing it exactly. And I'm always fascinated by bass players who can sing while they play the bass. That's one of the hardest instruments to cohabitate with.
And then, I mean, so beyond Geddy
Besides
Lee
drumming.
and Sting, Les Claypool, how the hell
Yeah.
does he do that?
He's slapping half the time too, so he's pretty fantastic. I actually got to work with their drummer, Tim Weed. He was one of the Blue Man Group drummers when I was in Vegas, so I got to meet him from that band, Primus. Anyway, I digress. So you are a joke writer like all of us. Have you figured it out yet? Did you have, is there a way you can tell us how you write jokes that will break it down so that we can do it easily at the benefit, like on our own desktop?
No and yes and yes and no.
Nope. Ah, dang it. I was hoping.
Yes and no. I
Okay.
figured it out for me.
Okay.
I don't know if this will help anyone, but what I have discovered is I can't sit down and write a joke. I used to try, like, oh, I've got an open mic coming up. Let's be funny.
Yeah.
What I determined long ago is since I'm telling stories about my life or experiences, it either comes to me or it doesn't. It either happens. I don't think on things like, oh, that just happened. How do I make it funny? It either just like, oh, wait, that's funny if I say it that way. And then I just try it on stage and I work it out organically. I'll hit beats, like I'll sit down and go, okay, this is a beat, this is an idea, and then I will, but basically I talk it out on stage. Got to go to a wedding a couple months ago. That was exciting. My buddy Jake got married. I got to be a groomsman at his wedding. I had to buy a shirt and tie to stand in his wedding. I was buying the shirt and tie when the clerk looked at me and said, ooh, dress for the job you want, not the job you have. Which was odd because she was dressed for the body she wanted, not the one she had. Yeah. She was a very petite woman wearing very baggy clothes. Oh, did some of you turn that into a fat shaming joke? You did that in your own little noggins, didn't you? Yeah, that's the power of suggestion. I put words into the ether. You made it bad. I didn't. I do not fat shame. No, no, no. I fat embrace. You don't even need boobies to motorboat a big girl. You can get thigh action.
Yeah, you're like one of these advanced comics who's got a career who can afford to on stage do the things that a lot of newer comics have to do at an open mic or in front of their mirror or to their poor spouse, whoever that is.
Yeah.
Honey, I got another bit I want to try. Oh, Jesus.
Well, and it doesn't have to be stories. Like I'll give you two examples right now. Well, one example, and then you just made me think of something else when you said open mic. I just today, just now recorded. I release a TikTok video every day and Instagram. I put out a video every single day.
Wow.
And just today I realized how I could, or last night I realized how I could quote make the Tyreek Hill situation funny. And so I wasn't thinking on it like, oh man, Tyreek Hill got treated shit by some cops. Wow, that cop was an asshole. I don't think about how do I make Tyreek Hill being abused by police officers funny.
No.
But if I'm just sitting there and something pops into my head, so this is what I went with, and this is the video that I'll be releasing in a couple days.
And I love this because what we call this negative into a positive. We like this,
Yeah,
it's a real twist.
my take was I thought he got cited for not wearing a seatbelt. How does that happen in a modern car? I mean, modern cars are designed to annoy
Right.
you with
Yeah.
sensors and alarms that go ding, 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 ding. Oh, wait. Maybe he was so used to the beep from a low battery smoke detector, he didn't even notice the ding of the seatbelt alarm. So that was what I thought. Is like you can make it borderline, like it's a stereotype. I'm toying with things here. We'll see who gets it, who doesn't, and if I get in trouble. But that's what I thought. Is
That's
I
funny, but
made
it,
that leap of
yeah,
logic.
it allows us to laugh at something that normally wouldn't be funny. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, because
So
you're
here's the other
misdirecting.
thing I thought of. I miss open mics. I do. And here's why. When you are a comedian early on, you learn how to get golf claps from an audience, like hey everybody, I'm 6 months sober. Oh, good for
Oh, good
you.
for
We're
you.
so proud of you.
My wife's pregnant.
Yeah. Oh, I just had a baby.
Oh,
What I would do, and then I got a couple other people doing it. I miss this about open mics because it's difficult to do this in a real show because you sometimes you don't know the other comic. At open mic, it's a group, it's a band of people that grow together and you're establishing new bonds, new friendships. I would start putting that applause into the inappropriate place, the opposite of I just had a baby, the hey, I'm going to look for sympathy from the audience. I'm
right.
opening a joke with, well, my grandpa just died. And so
Oh.
several of us would be in the back of the room. My grandpa just died. Hey, good for you, dead grandpa. And sometimes the audience would be like, are you applauding? We're like, what? Dead grandpa. We're showing support, like, so I miss that
I
about
love
open
that.
mics. I miss the camaraderie and the shit giving more than anything.
Yeah, and the bits you can do with each other, especially when you both or all of you know each other's bits so well because you've been doing them together for weeks and months on end.
Yeah.
That's great. That's funny. And so did you do like theater or stand-up comedy in high school or college, or did you went
Nope.
you
Just
said you
went
were an
straight
English
from
major,
band to
right?
comedy. I didn't really talk on stage in the band. That was the lead singer, guitarist. You
That's
know, I did. Oh, wow. Oh my God. I forgot this. Holy shit. I sang a couple songs. I was just one of the songs I sang was John the Fisherman. I
John.
actually did. I figured out how to play my bass and sing John the Fisherman by Primus, and I could do it. And I'm like, holy,
That
now I
song
look
is
back at it and go,
tricky,
huh?
man.
Yeah, it was fun. But yeah, so I know theater, no, just I loved it as a kid. I'm gonna give it a shot. And maybe so if this is for new comics, I'll just tell you right now, I was born broken. I have no fear of public speaking. I
Yeah.
never have. And I can pinpoint it to the point where I realized I didn't care. And it was in 10th grade. I was taking speech class. And I have told her this. She knows this. There was a girl in my class named Susan Anderson. She was very pretty and very popular. And I was a dirtball loser in a band with longer hair and nobody talked to me. And they went through the very first speech. It said, all right, everybody, this is the speech topic. You have to write a speech. And they did it alphabetically. So Susan Anderson gets up and she's stammering and turning beet red. And I'm just in the class back going, you're pretty and popular. Everybody likes you. Why are you scared of these fucks? I'm not scared of them. And it just clicked like, I don't know why she's scared, but I'm not scared. And so from that
Nice.
speech class, every time I got up, it's just like, hey, I'm just going to talk to you. And I got high marks for that, for not being nervous, for standing with my shoulders squared. So I was able to bring that. to my stand-up comedy. The first time I took the open mic, I wasn't nervous. I'm just like, well, I hope I get laughs, but I was confident in that I didn't have to overcome the fear of, oh, these people are looking at me.
Well, you got a voice that prints, man. You got like I don't know if you do voiceover work or any kind of voice acting, but you could put together a good demo and get some of that work. It's a very tricky industry, but you know, with an agent, you could with a voice like yours, you could probably at least get some local commercial stuff.
Well, thank you. I auditioned for an
I love it.
audiobook this
Thank you very
morning.
much.
Thank you very much. I auditioned for an audiobook this morning, and this is a joke from my set, and I apologize. I'm not going to do jokey jokes, but
That's
in
okay.
the
That's fine.
past, this is all true. I did audition for both a self-help book, a sort of Stuart Smalley daily affirmation book,
Right.
and gay male erotica.
Oh,
And
nice.
the joke is also true. The joke is the truth. The daily affirmation book was by far gayer than the gay male porn. It wasn't even close. And here's the worst part.
That's funny.
I got hired to do the daily affirmation book. I did not get hired to do the gay porn.
Whoa. The
And
guy's
to
like, you're
anybody
too
out
gay
there,
for us on the gay porn, man. You might want to try a different line of work.
I'll just
Hallmark.
tell anybody listening right now that's going to look it up. I took my name off the daily affirmation book. It was so bad
Oh
that
no.
when they published it, they said, "How do you want to be credited?" And I said, I just gave my name. I'm like, not my name. So
IP
I
free.
would have put my name on the gay porn, but I didn't get it. But I did not
Yeah,
want to be on that. It
you
was
can be proud of
so
that at least. Yeah, and then something that's like kind of soft and icky.
Mike, Chris, what I'd like you to do right now
Go on.
is look in a mirror
Okay.
and say, I believe in me.
I believe
I'm a
in me.
good person.
I'm a good person. I believe in me. I'm a good person.
I think you're
Wait,
in Frog Bank there.
why are my eyes bloodshot? So tell us a little bit about how your career's gone. Give us like an idea of your best moment on stage and your worst moment on stage. Is there anything like that you can share, some nightmares you can share with our audience that to help them prevent the similar situations or just nightmares in general?
I mean, no, because the nightmare situations, the early on gigs that didn't go well for me, I can analyze and say, all right, I was unqualified. The audience wasn't great. You know, you
Yeah.
can, but now the two that jump out at me where it's a disaster is they were both corporate gigs.
Oh, yeah.
And the only way you can avoid those is by saying no. And you don't know till you get there. And one, and I love this. This makes me so happy. I was bombing with everybody except the boss. Like the boss was laughing and everyone was giving me sort of the death stare. And
Nice.
when it was over and my liaison approached me, gave me my check and said, "Yeah, sorry about that. Everyone found out that they weren't getting a bonus this year, that we hired you instead right before the set." And it's like
No.
they were staring at their bonus on
Oh
stage.
no. You better be funny, bonus.
Oh, they would rather have had $100 in their pocket than
Of
my yappery.
course.
And the other one,
Oh no, what awful timing. Comedy is
oh, it's
timing.
great.
As
Oh, I
in, don't
loved it
tell them
so
right
much.
before
Made
I
me
go
so
up there.
happy because I'm just like, why do they hate me? Because you get in your head like you learn to separate, but you
Yeah,
don't
it can't
stop
be
thinking.
me,
It's not
can it?
you don't think like, oh my God, they hate me so much. Why? But you just think like, this is not going well.
Yeah.
These jokes work. What is and then when it's over to find out, oh, that's why. And then the other one was this is I don't even have anything funny other than when I got done and they hated me the entire time. I at one point told a joke that got a chuckle and I said, I remember saying into the microphone, man, you guys are that always gets an applause break. I've never had an audience not applaud at that. And someone went, good.
Good.
And when it was
Serves you
over,
right.
my liaison gave me the check and said, well, they had asked for a magician. And I'm like, well, why?
Oh,
Hire me.
oh. They'd ask for a magician. You ain't got no birds.
Oh,
Happened
Dude,
my
my
last
best
first
story,
date.
though, I can tell you two.
cup and balls, cup and balls. This guy
Rings.
sucks. Oh my God. Well, what give us like your best moment on stage. What's a good moment that you can look back on and feel proud of and feel like you earned your your money?
I have two. And I apologize. We're going to get slightly serious for a moment.
Oh yeah, okay.
Both took place doing shows for the military. One was in Iraq, one was in Afghanistan. The one in Iraq was, God, I have it written down somewhere. I think it was Camp Anaconda. I have it written down, but I'm pretty sure it was Anaconda. We were in a theater of Saddam Hussein's, and usually you're on a flatbed trailer or you're just standing on the dirt, and sometimes you don't have a microphone. This
Uh,
was, I believe, the last show, and it was a great base, and they had a PA system and lights and air conditioning. Nothing that we had seen the entire little 10-day
wow.
tour.
You're
Either
ready to
when it was
kill.
over, I don't know if I should say her name. I think I've printed it somewhere. I'm just going to say it. After it was over, you're doing the line of handshakes, and I think it had ended, and we were just sort of milling about. And this woman approached me. Her name said Burton, and I'm pretty sure her name was Leah Burton. But either way, I put my hand out to shake, and instead of shaking my hand, she took it in hers. She wasn't giving a handshake. She just held my hand, and she looked at me and said, "When you were on stage, I was laughing so hard, I forgot where I was."
Oh wow.
I doubled over and I saw my own legs and I saw I was wearing camouflage. And for a moment, I said, wait, why am I in uniform? This doesn't make sense. And then I looked up and I looked around and everybody was in uniform. And then I remembered, oh, I'm not at home at a comedy club. I'm in Iraq. I
Wow.
am thousands of miles from my family. I remembered where I was, but for a moment, I forgot.
Wow.
And that,
Woo.
I mean, I'm not going to forget that. How
No
does anything
way.
top that? I will tell you. This may be on my next special. I already put it on an album, but I was in Afghanistan in 2005 and I was there in October. You can look it up. That was the month, October 2005. I could be wrong. You can confirm through
Still gonna
Wikipedia.
look it up,
Well,
especially if you're wrong. That's gonna be
the
great. I'm
great
gonna feel
earthquake
great.
of Pakistan, the great Pakistani earthquake, whenever that
Oh
happened,
yeah.
I got stuck in Kandahar because we were flown around the country on Black Hawk helicopters, but Rumsfeld ordered everything to Pakistan, humanitarian services. And during the time I was stuck without any way to travel on Kandahar for I don't even know how many days, multiple days, I was invited to attend a ramp ceremony where a soldier that had lost his life, been killed, I said lost his life, but let's be explained, was killed by terrorists out in the field, a different base, not stationed at Kandahar, but a different base, a little fob, was flown to Kandahar because that was a big operating base and put into a casket, draped with a flag, and loaded onto an airplane with a friend who would fly home and fold that flag and present it to parents or a spouse. Just heavy, heavy shit.
Yeah.
And to sit and witness that is moving, to say the least, and embarrassing. I felt in part like a tourist, like I had no place to watch it, but at the same time, I felt it was important to see someone that had sacrificed their life for
Sure.
however you feel about military interventions, anything. That person was dead. Someone lost their son, someone lost their spouse, their father, who knows. A couple days later, when we get clearance to travel, I didn't know until we landed, we were being flown to the fob that soldier had been stationed at.
Mm.
And it's like 8 a.m. and the show is going to be at 10 a.m. because this is not
Jesus.
like, if anybody doesn't know, military shows are not 8 p.m. In the theater with the spotlight. It's catch as catch can. You do it wherever. And in this case, it was in just a village mud hut that they
Wow.
had converted into they basically bought a village and then put a wall around it, put blast walls around it, and that was the military base. And so this little mud hut, the commander's office, was going to be the site for the show. And he said, "You're going to perform for the people who just lost their friend. They've been out on an overnight hump trying to track down the insurgents. And I'm going to issue an order of attendance, which fucks with your head because they just did an overnight. They want to sleep, shower,
You're
shit,
right.
breakfast. They want to go to bed." And so the commanding officer is saying, "Get in there and watch that comedy show, maggots." And you're like,
Be amused, you maggots.
yes. I'm like, all right, if you want to cancel, I'll be okay with that. But he's like,
Right.
nope, you're doing the show. So I did. And I think I'm going sideways for a second because I'm having a memory, and the memory's current. I used to have a picture of the end of the show, and I can't find it because it was an old school, 2005 before
Yeah.
digital everything, and I can't find it. It pisses me off that I can't find the picture. Anyway, back to the story. Um, these soldiers come in, and there were 17 of them, and the only reason I know that is because I was able to count in the picture. Okay, 17.
Wow.
I don't have it from memory. I have it from the picture that I've lost. These 17 soldiers come in and they sit down and they are tired and they're young. They look like babies. I mean, we can say 18, you can join the military, smoke a cigarette, you can't buy a beer, but and so I start telling my jokes. I'm only doing 20 minutes. But over those 20 minutes, they all started, like sort of smiling and waking up. And by the time I was done, they were laughing. They were
Nice.
actually laughing. And I'm relieved. I'm like, oh, good, that went well. And I leave the room and when I did, the commanding officer grabbed me, physically grabbed me and pulled me over to him and went, "Hey, good job. Those are kids in there. They just lost their friend. They're tired. They're angry. They don't even know if they have laughter inside of them anymore. You gave them that. You reminded them that they have something inside of them. Good
Nice.
job."
Woo.
And I'm like, that's
Respect.
it. Like how nothing you cannot beat that compliment. I will carry that show with me to like everything else is a wash. The
Yeah.
fact that I had that moment. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a surgeon, I'm not saving lives. I'm just telling jokes, but it meant something in that moment. That's my one moment where that actually meant something. So I should
Yeah, it
quit.
shows you the power of humor in no matter what goes
Yeah.
down. If you have the right person at the right time, you can get people to laugh. And sometimes the worse the situation, the more tension there is, which is there's more tension to relieve, or to release. And
Yeah.
and that sounds like you took advantage of both of those and to their advantage. Woo!
I think it was Jimmy Carr. I saw an interview with him recently where he was talking to someone after a show and she said, "Hey, I just wanted to say thank you. You saved my life." And he's like, "Yeah, okay, whatever." She's like, "No, no, you don't understand. I was at home ready to take my own life. I was there. I was ready to do it. And then I stumbled across a video of yours while I was like, am I going to do this? Am I not? I'm trying to talk myself out of it. And I watched your video and I started laughing. And then I started watching more of your videos. And by the time I was done, I didn't feel like killing myself."
Yeah,
And he's just like, well,
Oof.
I was just telling jokes. I am happy. He's like, how do you respond to that? So
right.
yeah, laughter and when you most need it, it's beneficial.
Yeah, I had one woman come up to me after a show once and said that it was the first time she had laughed since her husband had died. And so it's one of those moments where you're just like, Jesus, wow, this show was more important to them than it was to me in the moment, even though it was very important to me. All shows are important, right? I mean, we do every show as if it's the most important show we've ever done because we take pride in our work, but wow, some of them have just hit home like that, huh?
Well, two things. One, yeah, we do. I've talked to club owners that sometimes say, well, there's only, or even off, not club owners, one-off shows, like, oh, there's only four people here. I mean, I guess we could still do it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm here. If you go to a movie, you see the same movie. I'm like, I'll talk to those four people. I'll give them my show. I'm not, I
Yeah.
know some comedians don't. They're like, there's only four people here. I'm like, they wanted to see a show.
Yeah, they
But the
drove
other
through
thing
the
I thought is,
snow.
I said earlier that I post a video every day. I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes I just like, oh shit, I'm out of ideas, and I just put something out there. And one day I did one of those, and I got a comment. Is this guy that said, "Hey man, I know you're probably not gonna read this, but my son is in the hospital. He's doing fine now. Don't worry. I don't want to set this off on the wrong foot. He's doing fine, but he's been in the hospital for a while. And watching your video today is the first time I've laughed in a month. So thank you." And I'm like, I'm just putting this video out there to be stupid. And
Right.
someone's just scrolling and like trying not to think about his kid. And he's like, yeah, it took him out of it for just a moment.
Yeah.
So,
Gives them that
so what
right.
I'm trying to say is comedians are important. Fuck you, doctors. Fuck you, firefighters. Fuck you,
But
first responders.
Us,
Comedian power.
we bring light to the darkness. No one else does. What is Mr. Rogers' mother told him in all the hard events, find the heroes, but really it's find the punchlines. So do you have
Agreed.
any advice for someone who's new, who's trying to get into this world? Something that you can give to a newbie that might help them besides run the fuck away?
Absolutely, yes. Absolutely. Pick wherever you're going to pick, Chicago, New York, Los Angeles. Go there.
Dallas.
Sure. Is that a comedy mecca now?
That's where I live right now. So
Yeah, I know, but
we're a spot that was trying to grow into what Austin's sort of becoming.
yes. Network like a mother.
Yeah.
It's not about originality. It's not about talent. It's not about talent will keep you where you need to be or will help you. Like, I didn't know that when I was in Los Angeles. I would go, I would do my thing, I'd go home. You need to go whatever club you're going to pick. I'll just tell a quick story. I went to the Improv. I was on Melrose Avenue. I went to the Improv, the first one, and did my audition and passed it with flying colors. Got great laughs. Jerry O'Connell and Spice Girl, which Spice Girl, whichever one he was dating, were in the audience. I was watching them the entire time because they were playing Kissy Face. I'm just like, is that a Spice Girl? Is that Jerry O'Connell from the Lost, or not the Lost Boys, from Stand By Me? Either way, and I got a phone number. It's like, call every Monday. We love you. You were going to put you on stage. So I would call every Monday. I never got hired. What I should have done, and I didn't think this, I had no fucking clue. I was stupid. You go to the club every single night so they get to know you, they get to like you, and
Yep.
then they're like, oh, yeah, Timmel's been sitting there. Yeah, he passes. Let's put him on stage.
Yep.
Network, network, network.
Show up.
I read Robert Evans' book, The Kid Stays in the Picture, the producer of Chinatown, legendary producer. He said he wanted to become a producer because this part's fuzzy to me. I might be making it up. The story's true. I'm just not sure of the specifics. I think it was Easy Rider. I know it was Jack Nicholson. Robert Evans was working as like a PA or something, and someone wanted Nicholson fired. And the producer took a look and went, nah, the kid stays in the picture. And that's why Evans, and he's like, I want that power. I want to be a producer. So luck gets you in the door. Nicholson's talent kept him there.
Yeah.
Luck will get you your big break, your moment on stage. You have to be good to keep it, but you can be the best comedian in the world in Dallas or Iowa or Chris, where are you?
He's
What?
in
Denver.
Denver.
Oh, yeah. And no one will care. So
Yeah.
my advice to young comedians is pick your city, pick your location in that city, whichever club it's going to be, and then just live there until they notice you.
Yeah.
Network, network, network. This is a business of rubbing elbows. It's not about talent. It's not about originality. It's not about getting the biggest laughs. It's about, "Oh, I like that guy or girl."
Yeah. It feels like it. Everybody, if you're going to get any work at all, you've got to be on a certain level of talent and originality and all those things. All those things are almost like a given before you're even allowed to be in the conversation. So hopefully the hacks aren't getting the work because sometimes what I learned is that the people who have the least amount of talent and the least amount of originality are the ones who are most motivated in the marketing and in the handshaking and in the glad handing
Mhm.
and or handling and they're the ones that end up with the gigs and it's easy to get hired once. It's getting rehired that's the tough thing.
Yep. 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 Yep.
Yeah. What do
And then
you
there's the other advice, which you already gave. Just run the another direction. If you're trying to break into it, just quit right now.
why? Why would you do this? What are you thinking? Yeah, someone was saying that one great way to be a musician or a poet or a comedian is to have a day job that pays your bills so that the pressure doesn't go on your creative art form to finance your life. And that's one way to think about it. So sometimes if you put everything, all your eggs into one basket, it gets a little bit scary.
I have a buddy, Mike Marvell, who did that up until retirement. He just like he worked his job, took Friday, Saturday gigs, worked his job, and I was so envious of him because there was a period of time where he was just burning bridges carefree. Like a booker would treat him
Right.
like shit, and he'd be like, "Oh, really? Well, I have a job and health
Yeah.
insurance, so I don't need you. I don't need you." And it was
Yeah, fuck
so
you money.
glorious because I was okay. I can drive 12 hours for $100 and no hotel because I need the stage time. I need
It's
like
actually now that you're here where it's at 75. That's fine. That's fine.
yeah. That's
That's fine. No, as long as I'm here.
I'm here already, so what am I going to do? Throw a fit and say no? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I'm desperate and you know it. What's your biggest fear on stage? What do you hate to think of happening? Is it hecklers? Is it a lack of audience? Is it a lack of energy, a lack of attention? Oh God, that's every comedian's biggest fear. What do you mean you're not paying attention to me?
I don't know that I have anymore. I think I'm past that hump.
Yeah.
Honestly, if someone's not paying attention to me, I'm just like, no, you're here. Like if they're on their phone, I've learned to tune it out.
Yeah. Oh,
I,
good.
this is what helped me with that is of all things years ago, either hearing or reading. And I remember an interview with Bono of U2, and he talked about his insecurities when they were already playing arenas on the War and Unforgettable Fire albums tours. And he said, I am such an egomaniac, narcissist, insecure pain in the ass that I would be looking at a sea of 18,000 people, and then I would pick the one guy having a bad time, and I would focus on that person for the entire show. And I'm like, well, if Bono's going to do that, then I've got to do it something different. He said it took him a long time to get over that, but me
Yeah.
hearing that
Right. Of
that
all
he was going
people who
through the same
would
thing
think
made
you,
me a little better of,
yeah.
all right, that person's just not into me. And I'll tell you this, like any comic, when you're starting out and you see the person that's just sitting there politely, and you're like, what the fuck is wrong with them? God, and then you focus on it, and you get into your head, I'm so funny, I'm so good. Why don't they like me? What the fuck? And then after the show, they come up, they're like, you were so funny. Oh, that was
Right.
great. I had a great.
What? Tell your face.
Yeah, exactly. You get over it. I'm just like, all right, they're enjoying me in their own way, or they're not enjoying me, and at least they're silent about it. I'm
Yeah.
my fears are gone. I prefer laughter. I prefer a happy, attentive audience. You're not going to get it every time. Been very lucky, I think, knock on wood, the past few years. I don't see that many people playing on their phones. I think people, because I think I've noticed that comedy skews older. I mean, they
Yeah.
market it younger. They market it like, hey, what are the kids into with the 20-year-olds? But I never see them at comedy clubs. I see
Well, 30s,
everybody is like
40s,
over
50s.
35 for the most part, except for the
Yeah.
random bachelorette party. And once you hit a certain age, you're like, okay, I was on my phone for, a year in my 20s, but now I know how to put it down and focus. So,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear you say that because it's like an art form, a craft, a skill, a technique that needs to be paid attention to. You can't have, it's not like a movie or a band where you can sort of half pay attention and have a conversation while you're enjoying it. You have to give into it.
Yeah.
Comedy.
I remember, I think you have to pay attention to movies too.
Yeah, for sure.
My buddy Sean and his girlfriend, is it Tammy? This is years ago. Obviously, I'll give you the date right now. We were watching Beetlejuice on VHS, and they were playing Kissy Face, and we're just like, you too. And then at some point, they looked and said, I don't even understand what's going on. This movie's stupid. It's like you're playing Kissy Face. You're not even watching the fucking movie. You're not paying it. So yeah, I think you have to pay attention in life.
And then you said Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice three times. And
That's my
well, and the good thing though is Michael Keaton didn't give a fuck that as opposed to the comedian who has to pay it, like have the
Right.
crowd. Michael Keaton will keep doing Beetlejuice on that screen no matter what you're doing in front of his, I guess is all I'm saying.
Yeah,
And
no, I got you. Yeah, it's right in our face how we are doing.
yeah, and it says a lot about the art form.
I want to go back to the corporate gigs for a second.
Sure.
And if you would have been told that those two pieces of information, that they got your bonus, you got their bonus, or that they wanted a magician before you went on stage, how would you address it? Would you have called that on the stage and
Yeah.
identify with the crowd better? Like, how would you have brought that into your
I have
act?
no idea because that's just hindsight's 2020. I mean, I suppose I should prepare for something like that in the future. I mean, I don't know if I would have addressed it because what do you do? Like, hey, I know you're looking at your bonus right now. Haha, that's not going to go over well. Like,
No.
hey, everybody, I'm as sorry as you are. We can make the best of this situation. I think the best is to just like go through blissfully ignorant. I mean, if you know beforehand, just like, okay, well, I know this, but it might have just tempered expectations. I'm not sure I would have addressed it because then you're just bringing attention to something. I suppose there's a way to diffuse that bomb. I'm drawing a blank off the top of my
You
head.
could just say to them, listen, folks, I want to thank you so much for this gig. Thanks to the money I'm earning because of this gig, I'm now able to give my wife a huge bonus this year, and she's going to really appreciate that, as I'm sure you can imagine, but only
Or the
imagine.
other, I thought you were going to go a different direction. Now,
Oh!
now I can pay for my daughter's operation.
Oh, there
Oh
you
yeah,
go.
go make it as if. Then they're like, "Ah, yeah, that's fine. You can have."
Exactly.
Yeah, you're going for the. I really want to do a good job on the
See,
on the show,
we just workshopped it. You asked
right?
a
We got it.
question, I didn't have an answer. Mike gave the first half, I gave the second. We
Right, we got
workshopped
this.
it.
We got this. Now anyone who needs the answers got it. That's beautiful. What do you feel about the state of comedy right now? What in the overall sort of where we're at as an industry? Any thoughts?
Yeah. I don't like the idea of giving power to thoughts, but I'm seeing it happen. But it's happened before. It's at this moment we are unfortunately sucked into oh, this guy has a lot of TikTok followers, throw him on stage.
Yeah.
And I've been hearing reports from people that are, credible inside these rooms and saying even the audience doesn't have fun. They come out like, "Oh my God, this guy's on TikTok. I follow him on TikTok."
Uh,
And over the course of the hour, it gets further and further. But that's the way it's always been. They used to book guys that had their 5 minutes on Conan
Yeah.
O'Brien or Letterman, and I'd work with them. And yeah, they had a great 5 minutes. They didn't have 45, and you'd watch the audience get just bored
Yeah.
and give up. I had one guy, God, I can't remember his name. I wouldn't throw him under the bus anyway. Was about to blow up, had just done Colbert, and this was just like 5, 7 years ago. And the booking agent called and said, "Hey, I know you usually headline for me. Will you take an opening slot?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I got no ego. You're putting me up in a hotel. It's only a couple hours away. I look at everything as a radius. Am I driving this far for this money? Sure, then
Yeah.
I'll do it. It doesn't matter." So they said it was a casino. They wanted to start booking TV names only. And I went and just kicked the shit out of my 20 minutes. And he got off stage literally shaking, came walking in going, People were getting up and walking out during my set." And I'm just sitting there thinking, it's like, yeah, because you had a really good, cute 5 minute Los Angeles minutes where like, oh, audience, you don't have 45. And I've
Yeah.
not seen or heard from him since. He didn't launch. He had that, but they always, so the state of comedy, as much as I'm complaining about it, it's never changes. They put on stage what's new and exciting. I think there are a couple kind of clubs out there, and it's always a tug of war between which one's going to last. You have the clubs that try and develop their location as a place to be trusted. Hey, come to the Ann Arbor Comedy Showcase. You might not recognize the name on stage, but you know you have a good time here. I'm going to build the show with comedians that are good and have proven themselves. And so the club gains a reputation. And then there are other clubs that say, you recognize this name, come see it. And it's a perpetual, I don't want to say burning of bridges, but they see the guy that had 5 minutes on Letterman, but bombed for 40 minutes. They see the TikTok star that just, you watch the levels drop. I will throw one name under the bus because why
Phew, all
not?
right.
We all remember when Pauly Shore was launching.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there were so many stories of him just getting, like he was Encino Man. And he just got straight to headliner, jumped to the front of the line, and was not able to hold attention. Like
Yeah.
just kept going around. Every audience hated him.
And that's his
And
mom
now,
is Missy Shore, who ran the comedy club out there in LA. So
right.
he had every opportunity to develop.
He said his babysitters were Robin Williams and
Yeah.
Sam Kinison.
Yeah.
And
And
but
cocaine.
and I don't blame Paulie. He had doors open for him. It's just the idea. I blame the clubs that just look for that quick flash in the pan. The jump to the front of the line. Stormy Daniels, I follow her on Twitter. She is hilarious on Twitter. She now does comedy shows, and I know a club
really?
that booked her that went out of business because they were doing this quick. This person's hot right now. Book them. They did it enough to the point where the audience got tired of it, and they went under because they did not establish themselves as a
Yeah.
trusted location. And again, this is nothing against Stormy Daniels. It's the idea that The Jackass guys. I love Jackass. I remember my buddy calling me saying, dude, put on MTV right now. And I turned it on. I'm like, what am I watching? I've seen all the movies. That doesn't mean Steve-O and I think Prest, I don't they jumped to the front of the line. It's like, okay, we're going on tour. Charlie Sheen did it with his Tiger Blood winning tour when he was giving his Chuck Lorre twin middle fingers to Two and a Half Men tour.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you remember reading that audiences were pissed. He would come out and go, winning. And everybody like, yeah, Charlie Sheen. He's like, all right, my angels, the chicks, yeah. And then they soon realized that he had nothing. He
Got
had nothing to say. Let's
nothing.
bring out a variety act. And they'd be like, what? You can blame the audiences too for falling for it, for perpetually
Yeah.
falling for this is new and flashy, so it must be good. What are you going to do?
Ugh, that's so
I
funny.
just thought of a very funny story. Years ago, I wrote an article for HuffPost that went viral. It got about 250,000 hits, I believe, which is viral for a nobody. And then they reformatted it and it lost all its hits. And now, either way, it was called, the title was Five Reasons to See an Unknown Comedian. And I broke down five reasons you can Google it that you should see. Go to your local comedy club and see someone you don't recognize. I got contacted probably, I think, by 5 to 7 comedy clubs, owners that I had never worked for, that said, "Hey, love your article. I want to repost it. Do I have your?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's on HuffPost. Repost it everywhere. Get the word
Yeah.
out." And none of them hired me. Like they said, "We love this
Uh,
idea of it." And then I would say, "I thank you for. I'd love to come work your club."
no,
Radio silence, crickets. No, here's my press kit. I'm actually good at what I do. Nothing. Like even they took the article, go see someone that you don't know, but even they wouldn't take the time to look at my
but do not
press
book
kit.
someone you don't know.
Right, because they didn't know me.
Yeah, you gave us some good advice about like in the business, show up is a really good advice. But we're looking for maybe advice on like if you have an hour a day to do comedy to actually create material for a new comic, and we liken it to like what's the equivalent of doing 100 push-ups for your chest muscles every day? If you have an hour a day to work on your comedy, to write comedy, what kind of exercises, drills, 100 push-ups type reps would you do for a new comic?
This might sound silly, but just talk your act out.
Hmm.
Literally, walk around your house and talk your act out. I think the biggest disconnect people discover is the sound of the spoken word versus the written word. And if they sit down and they write a joke out, it can sound very stilted because the written
Okay.
word looks very good written, but it doesn't always flow. So if you're going to write your jokes out, write them out. That's great. But start talking them through because the best thing you can do is hear how they sound and get them in your head. And that I come up with more tags driving in my car than anywhere else because I'm just driving, listening to
Smart.
music, and oh, I got an idea. It might you might come off like a homeless guy on the corner or a biblical character talking to a flaming bush, but talk to yourself. Don't just keep it in your head.
Yeah.
If you have an hour to putter around the house, doing the laundry, doing the dishes, oh, two Jews walk into a bar. One sees a Catholic priest. Just talk it out.
Hey, wait, are you talking one of my bits? Don't do my bits. That's my closer.
I thought your closer was to how many Polacks, something, something, something.
How many Lugans? I'm a Lithuanian, so we
Lucas.
we make fun of the Russians. That's what we do.
It seems like Mike and I are doing a 30-day, write a joke a day, and then we workshop them. But it seems like you're very motivated by like the habit formation of you make sure you do it every day. You said you never miss an episode of your podcast a week, and you never miss TikTok. So explain that. Is that a motivational? Like, are you motivated by streaks?
I'm I've just always had a good work ethic, and I had the fortune. I've just it's just the way I operate. I don't have a heavy lifting job. So if I'm not doing something, I worked with a comic years ago that we were in the comedy condo, and he comes walking in with his PlayStation to hook up to the TV. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. He's like, yeah, bring it everywhere in the hotel, everywhere I go. I'm like, that's got to burn a lot of time.
Yep.
Like, I see that and I sort of feel like jealous, but on the other hand, I would feel guilty if I wasn't being productive. I've written 4 full-length books because in hotel rooms I have nothing to do. So I feel this intense need to be motivated to push forward. I had the opportunity to interview J.J. French, the guitarist from Twisted Sister.
Mm.
He wrote a book that is part business book and part memoir. I can't think of the name. Like, I think it's called Twisted Business. Not positive. It's the only business book I have ever read where I have said, that is a fantastic business book, because usually there are a bunch of cliches. What you need to do is you need to get up and you get the motivation to
Daily
exponentially grow your
motivation.
business. What does that mean?
Right.
He said in his book, and when I talked to him, it was great. He said, everybody says insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. He said, that's bullshit. Before we were big, when we were playing the same set over and over as an undiscovered band, we were waiting for our moment so that when we broke, we were prepared. And that's
Right.
why it goes back to what I said a second ago. Walk around your house saying your act out loud. I do a video every day because I've got thoughts in my head to get out there. And who knows when one is going to get a million hits? One has 8 million hits. I don't want to say I've given up, but I've tried to let go of the idea that, hey, who knows? Someone could see one of those videos one day and say, I like that guy. Maybe I should.
It
Stranger things have
happens.
happened. You can't count on it
No.
because it hasn't happened yet.
The the muse shows up not when you decide you're in the mood. The muse shows up because you show up every day, and then suddenly the muse is there and you take advantage of it and you ride the wave, and you that's when the viral videos come out. That's when the best jokes come out. That's when the best songs are composed.
Billy Joel once said that he sits down at the piano, and this was years ago and he was still putting out new music. He said he would sit down and he'd write for about 45 minutes or an hour. And then he would say, all right, now that the shit's out of my system, that all goes in the garbage. Now we're ready to
Huh.
go. So the first hour was just, playing whatever he play. And then
Yeah.
he's like, now we're ready.
Yeah, that joke a day thing we're doing really has reinvented my love of taking things that are around me and figuring out how to fit them into the template of what stand-up comedy is, which is a premise, a setup, and a misdirection, and then a surprising punchline. And getting good at doing that over and over again is hard. It's tricky. It's not foolproof. And so to practice it, I'm like, oh, geez, no wonder I sucked at it. I wasn't doing it enough.
And let's bring this back to where we started. The day after Trump was shot, you had a several minute bit, not like a fully formed, but it wasn't just like a one off joke. It was a well thought out piece,
Right.
a spoken word piece, for lack of a better
Yeah.
word. It wasn't like a bit, but it was like, hey, I have some thoughts. You sat down, and within 12 hours of the event, sat and like, okay, you had like points, like
The beats.
punchline, punchline, beat, beat, funny, funny.
Yeah.
Is it going to be on stage 5 years from now? No, but it was,
Yeah.
it topical, current, boom. You sat down, you worked it out. I mean, that's what you got to do.
Yeah. It's a flex of
Like
the
like I
funny
said with
muscle.
that silly, dumb Tyreek Hill thing. I wasn't
Yeah.
focusing on it, but like there's something there. And then when I compared, the thing with the smoke detectors, the stare, and like, oh, all right. Well, is it the greatest
Boom.
joke ever written? No, but is it something for a one a day? Yeah, get it out there, see what happens.
And sometimes with something so current like that, you get the current laugh.
Yeah.
You get credit for the fact that it was a joke about something that we all just heard about.
And then you have to be careful that you're not the guy I worked with. I couldn't even tell you when, who 8 years after the fact was still going, hey, Bill Clinton got a blowjob. Remember that?
Uh,
Oh my God, let
right.
it go.
We all know. We all know.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That was funny the day after,
Yeah.
and that was about it.
Yeah. It'd be like doing Trump ear bandage jokes now. It doesn't work anymore.
Hey, remember when? Any of your jokes begin with, hey, remember when? Be careful.
Remember when that one commercial was always on? Let's talk about
What's
that.
up?
Was you doing your what's up bit?
It's the first, you see commercial, that was the first thing I thought of.
Oh my God, it's funny. Well, listen, Nathan, thank you so much.
All right, then the last thing I will say is I will be the whore that says, please visit nathantimmel.com. It'd make me happy. Puppy dog eyes.
Oh, so go see nathantimmel.com. Go check him out. I love your site, by the way. It's a worthy destination. You've got a blog area, you've got a podcast area, you've got a shop with swag. You got a we're able to hire you for a corporate, and we can contact you for any kind of comedy gig.
Still do the corporate. Don't give up on them. I'll tell you this really
No.
quickly. I had a horrible experience a year ago spring, doing an after prom. And then this past year, I had a great experience doing an after prom. Just because you have one bad experience or two, like you keep moving. It's just, yeah. I know I gave two corporate events. You said, "What are your worst experiences on stage?" Doesn't mean you cut them out. You just
Yeah,
keep
but those
moving
could
forward.
also be your highest paying gigs on stage too.
Yes,
Even while they're your work, like they're great financially, even if they're awful creatively. One for the
yep.
meal, one for the real.
There you go.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for allowing me to invade your space. I appreciate it, guys.
Appreciate you, Nathan. Can't wait to have you back.
I understand that I influence my kids. That's my job, to raise them correctly. And I know that they're paying attention to me. What I did not know is that they are paying attention to me 24/7, even when I think they are not looking. And I learned that the hard way when my daughter got invited to a birthday party at a llama farm. I took her to the llama farm, and when we got there, the llama handler said, "All right, everybody, safety meeting, gather around. Okay, what you gotta remember is llamas is temperamental. If they don't like you, they spit." And without skipping a beat, my daughter said, "Yeah, but if they love you, they swallow." And every parent turned to look at me. I'm like, "Hi, I'm the comedian, Dad. I must have said something when I thought she wasn't paying attention. I was probably talking to her mom, trying to..."
Great guest. Good, well spoken, good conversation.
Right? Yeah,
What
he
did you
was
think?
good. I liked him a lot. I liked his take. I like his work ethic. I like that he's an author as well. I like that he's realistic. I disagree with the his concept of how talent and originality aren't important. I don't think they're the most important always. I think that a certain level of those is important, but I also think that creativity and originality without any kind of effort or without any kind of business savvy is wasted. What about you? What'd you think?
Yeah, I liked his the streak thing. He's very motivated by, just keep doing everything. I think you learn that good stand-ups are good writers. They write a ton.
Yeah.
So whether you're writing poetry or writing kids' books or writing blogs or just write is, I think, a big takeaway. I
Words,
love
words.
show back to just be confident. How the crowd can feel your confidence.
Yeah.
Uh, I thought it was hilarious. He knows the specifics of Susan Anderson from seventh grade speech class, but he can't remember his anniversary.
Isn't that funny? So typical.
And his show up stuff is just like, like anything. Be in the room, be available.
I got
Always
to
be.
tell you, that's a way more important piece of advice than you would think. I got so many gigs because I showed up and I was there, and someone just didn't show up. Someone just wasn't available. Someone was late. Someone was fucked up their own schedule, and I got the gig. And it happened more than once. It happened a bunch of times, and the other times, sometimes it ended up being a guest spot. It was just like, hey, you want to do a guest spot? We have some extra time. So it's a key piece of advice to show up, and it reminds me of how important it is to have a home club. Now I have the Dallas Comedy Club, and now I'm showing up there and not necessarily getting more sets, but having my name become known as a teacher and as somebody who is a person of reference.
That was one of the first things we learned in when I was doing pro wrestling was they said no matter what show you go to, always have your boots and your tights, your wrestling whatever goofy garb you wear on stage to any show
Right.
you do, because
Yep.
maybe they need an extra body in a tag team or a Royal Rumble or whatever. Maybe they just need a quick little like the version of a guest spot in a pro wrestling bar act
Right. Right.
is always have your boots in the car. Maybe that's the equivalent of like Always have your five, kind of your shit shoes in the car.
Your shit shoes. Yay. Call back.